Part 59. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 605. One update arrived. This is my uncle's son, Lin Jianbao. He always thinks that he is not good at work and has a lot of opinions about our mother. Therefore, it is normal for him not to like us when he sees him. Listening to Zhou Mikang's introduction, the smile on Chu Xia's lips bloomed uncontrollably. What's there to be happy about? Zhou Mikang looked at his little wife boredly, saying that she didn't understand what the other person's emotions meant. No, there's nothing to be happy about. I just think this name is very interesting. Chu Xia lowered her voice. There is a very famous drink called Jianlai, so when I heard his name, I felt happy. Oh, Zhou Mikang responded, realizing that the little wife was talking about drinks that would only come out in the future, so this joke should only belong to the little wife. The house I live in is a courtyard. When you come in from the main gate, there are side rooms on the left and right, facing the main house. The yard is very wide, about 200 square meters. Gee, how many houses will be allocated during the demolition? When a certain summer saw this scene, her first thought was this emotion, and she even secretly wondered if she should go to the capital to buy a few courtyard houses in the next 2 years. After that, things would really get crazy. Several people entered the hall before someone came to greet them. It was Zhenmei. I have been waiting for you for a long time. Zhenmei blinked at a few people and lowered her voice. The family was not very happy last night. Of course, the mood is not good today. You guys, be careful. Zhou Mikang and Zhou Zikang nodded expressionlessly and continued walking in. Chu Xia quickly followed. Inexplicably, I feel so nervous. Of course she didn't care about the family's attitude towards her. However, I thought that I might face a more exciting scene soon. She couldn't control her nervousness. The hall is quite large, more than 70 square meters, rectangular. After entering the door, there are people sitting on both sides. Zhou Mikang and Zhou Zikang don't look to both sides, and Chu Xia naturally doesn't look to either side. However, she can feel that there are many pairs of eyes swirling around her body, even. It could be felt that those two pairs of eyes were particularly unfriendly when they looked at her. Walking to the end of the hall, Zhou Mikang pulled Chu Xia to his side and said to the old man and lady sitting upright, "Happy New Year, Grandma and Grandpa." "Happy New Year to Grandma and Grandpa," Chu Xia also said quickly. In fact, she had met the old couple once, and she knew who they were just by looking at their location. But she still staggered the time and waited for Zhou Mikang to finish greeting her before saying hello. The old man and the old lady smiled and nodded, took out the red envelopes from their pockets and handed them to Chu Xia. "Xiaomi, this is our intention, accept it," the old lady said. Chu Xia quickly refused. "Grandma, I'm already so old. There's no need. We should be filial to you. This child is really sensible." The old lady smiled and forced the red envelope into Chu Xia's hand. "No matter how old he is still a child in our eyes. Besides, this is your first year of marriage, how can you be wrong? What's the point of getting red envelopes?" Chu Xia quickly said, "Thank you, Grandma and Grandpa." "Thank you, Grandma and Grandpa." Zhou Mikang also thanked the old couple. "This child is still the same as when he was a child." The old lady smiled and looked at Chu Xia. "If he likes someone, it doesn't matter if he doesn't treat him well. If he doesn't treat the one he likes badly, he will never let it go. Did you see that he ignored us when we talked to him just now, but now we gave him a red envelope for his wife, and then he changed into a different person." Chu Xia didn't know how to answer the conversation, so she just smiled and said nothing, but secretly thought to herself, didn't this old lady have a good relationship with Lin Yangkaiu? Why did her words sound so pungent? Looking back, she remembered what the fat ant told her. Some old people still have the same old ideas as before, and they like to set rules for their new wives. Maybe this old lady is like this too? After a few more pleasantries, the old man waved to the three of them, "Go and see your uncle and aunt, and then talk to your brothers and sisters." Yes, in response, Joe Mikang pulled Chusia aside. Chusia has not yet woken up from the shock of the ceremony. Why does she feel like she has returned to the old society? Comparatively, the Joe family's family background is not a little better than that of the Lin family. However, the Joe family does not have any such rules. On the contrary, the Lin family completely follows the old rules. It sounds bad, just feudal and stereotyped. There was only one son. Uncle Lin and Aunt Lin sat under the old man and the old lady. After the three of them greeted each other, they responded lightly and stopped talking. Knowing that they had a grudge against Lin Yangkaiu, Chusia was not surprised. Anyway, she was following Joe Mikang and Joe Zikang, and she would do whatever they wanted. Next, there are the younger generations of the Lin family. Today, the daughters don't have to go home, but the grandchildren all come back to pay New Year greetings, so it can be regarded as the most gathering day of the year. Chusia didn't know these people at all. When she got married, not many juniors attended, and most of the elders went. After such a long time, she basically couldn't recognize any of them. Joe Mikang obviously didn't want her to say hello to everyone, so he and Joe Zikang nodded to everyone and pulled her to sit at an empty table. Zhengmei quickly moved over. "Big brother and third brother, you are so lucky. When I came here just now, the old man and the old lady were still angry and couldn't even smile at me." "What's the reason for celebrating the new year?" Joe Zikang asked. "What else could it be about? It's my uncle and aunt's work, and my cousin's work. They seemed to be making dumplings, and they started arguing. Then, as soon as the aunt was thrown into the house, the old man was old. The wife was very angry, and the uncle and the eldest cousin turned on the aunt again, so the old couple was holding back their anger. When we came in the morning, my uncle and aunt cooked food and ate it with the family without calling them grandma and grandpa, which made them even more angry. Then, I discovered today that Zhang is still very old." Seeing that almost all the younger generations came to pay New Year greetings, the old man and the old lady announced that they had made a decision. The family's property does not necessarily need to be left to their son. For several years, whoever performs best will leave the family property to whomever he performs best. Then, they also said that they would find a lawyer to write a will. When that day comes, they will tell them verbally and the lawyer will fill in the blanks as to which of their children will be filial and which will be unfilial. When they said this, of course the uncle and aunt became anxious, saying that they were sons and had the right to inherit, while daughters had no right to inherit. The old man and the old lady said that they had the final say on this matter. No one stipulated that the family property must belong to the son. If they were not allowed to live a good life, why should they give the family property to their son? The old lady also said that the names on the real estate certificate belong to her and the old man, and if her uncle's family continues to make such a fuss, she has the right to kick them out of the house. Seeing that what the old man and woman said was true, my uncle and aunt shook it off. Although their faces were still ugly, they no longer dared to talk back to grandma and grandpa. Then, the eldest cousin jumped up. He said that he was the only grandson in the family. If the grandparents really planned to give the family property to their daughters, then the children born to him would take their mother's surname, and the Lin family would be wiped out. When grandma and grandpa heard this, of course they became even more angry, saying that if he really dared to do that, they would indicate in the will that whichever granddaughter is willing to let their child take the Lin family name can get more of the family property. In short, after nagging and nagging, the eldest cousin finally gave in, so he looked so disgusting that everyone in the world owed him money. By the way, I heard that he has fallen in love with the daughter of the deputy mayor of our city and is pursuing her. Hey, I really don't understand how the Lin family got a man like him. When Zhenmei said that, Chu Xia had been settling accounts with her fingers. The uncle was the eldest, Lin Yangkai was the second aunt, and actually the third eldest child in the family. Josei Kang was nearly 30 this year, so this eldest cousin should be about. Is it possible for a person who is not 30 years old, in this era, at this age, not to be married? As if sensing Chu Xia's doubts, Zhenmei whispered to her, Lin Jianbao was married, but the girl ran away with him 3 days before the wedding. After that, he only fell in love and never got married. Uncle and aunt. There is nothing we can do about him, we can only let him go. Oh, Chu Xia nodded, indicating that she understood. Don't you feel like you're about to be poked into a honeycomb? Zhenmei asked in a low voice. Chu Xia nodded, absolutely. What I'm curious about is why they didn't come over to talk. They only used their eyes and daggers to fly at me. I don't owe them any money. I'm so scared to say it. They would like to come over and say hello, but third brother is sitting here, do they dare? Zhenmei curled her lips as she spoke, these people are just like that, they bully the weak and fear the strong. It's the most disgusting thing. She didn't even know who was who, and she had no right to speak, so she shrugged her shoulders and leaned towards Zhou Mikang to prevent those people from flying knives on her face. My uncle's family consists of a boy and a girl. You have already met Lin Jianbao. There is also an eldest sister, Lin Jianying, who is married and will not come back until she is in the 3rd year of junior high school. Sister Jianying has a good personality and I like her quite a lot. I am the only one in our family. As you already know, my third aunt's family has 2 daughters and 1 son, named Qi Hua, Qi Lan, and Qi Jiang. My fourth aunt's family has 3 daughters, named Li Aimei, Li Ifang, and Li Aimei. Among them, I don't get along with any of them, and they all look like little chickens. I guess, except for your eldest sister Lin Jianying, you don't get along well with the others, especially Qi Hua and Qi Lan from your third aunt's family. You will definitely not like them. Because they actually married the third brother under the rules, and now you have shattered their dreams, of course they hate you, so you should feel someone's eyes are not kind, right? A close relative. Chu Xia's eyes were so wide that Zhou Mikang's mouth twitched. To be continued. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 606. Second update arrived. Sorry, I copied it wrong in a hurry, but luckily I took another look. Yes, close relatives. Zhenmei confirmed Chu Xia's answer and emphasized, however, some of their classmates got married in this kind of relationship, and the children were quite normal, so they also had this idea. To be honest, when you and your third brother were not married, Qi Hua and Qi Lan didn't like each other and didn't speak to each other. Really, Chu Xia has really learned a lot anyway, this is the first time she has heard of such a thing. It is not strange for 2 sisters to compete for a man. What is strange is that they are competing for a cousin. Zhenmei was amused by Chu Xia's appearance, don't be so surprised. This happens quite a lot. Some of my classmates also married their own cousins. Isn't the law not allowed to marry close relatives? Chu Xia asked with a puzzled look on her face. She looked like a curious baby now, which made Zhou Mikang's eyebrows tinge with smiles. It's not allowed, but some people hope that the wealth will not go to outsiders, and some people want to get married. In addition, most people do not give birth to mentally retarded children, so there are still many such cases. Oh, Chu Xia responded and stopped asking. She had already noticed Zhou Mikang's performance and realized that this was not the time to be a curious baby. She was a little interested in this matter, but she still looked back. Let's discuss it with Zhenmei later. Someone's here for you. After Zhenmei finished speaking, she saw Qi Hua and Qi Lan walking over with smiles and sitting at the table. After grabbing a handful of melon seeds and taking a few bites, Qi Hua spoke first, "Third brother, why don't you introduce him to us?" Jo Mikang didn't even look at her, treating her like air. Chihua's expression was dull. Perseverance, third brother, when you got married, I was busy, so I couldn't attend. What I mean is that third brother didn't introduce third sister-in-law to my sister and we have always been curious about what kind of marriage. Only girls can win the eyes of third brother, it turns out to be like this, haha. What's the meaning? What is she like? Do you need to laugh like this? As if she is bad. The Chinese New Year guy actually looked down on her and was unhappy. Chu Xia looked at Chihua indifferently. Why, you failed to marry him. Do you feel uncomfortable when you see me? Puff. I didn't realize that such a sentence would come from Chu Xia. Josei Kang, who was drinking water, spurted out a mouthful of tea, right on the head of Chi Lan, who was sitting opposite him. Cousin, Chi Lan pushed down the water droplets on his head with his hands and stared at Josei Kang with an annoyed look on his face. You are so dirty. Sorry, I didn't mean it. Josei Kang quickly handed her the rag at hand. Wipe it. Use this to wipe it? You're the one who wiped it with this. Chi Lan threw the rag back to him angrily. This is my hair, not the dirty table. You asked me to use this greasy rag. What do you mean? Where is the oil? Josei Kang looked through the rags and patted his head suddenly. It's too clean. I thought it was a towel. I'm sorry. If you think it's dirty, go wash your hair. It's warm in Grandma's house. It'll be done in a moment. You can't wash your hair during the Chinese New Year. You sincerely want to disgust me to death. Chi Lan turned around and looked at Jo Mikang. Third cousin, my eldest cousin bullies others, and you don't help them vent their anger. In early summer, I got goosebumps all over my body inexplicably. Oh my God, who said that women in this era are almost the same as men? Look at this one, she can't be more coy, making her feel like a man. Jo Mikang glanced at Chi Lan expressionlessly and didn't reply to her a word. Of course, the two sisters had given up long ago, but they just saw Chu Xia being unwilling to follow Jo Mikang. Moreover, they always believed what others said. When a man marries a woman back home, what he sees in his eyes is usually what he sees outside. Woman. To Jo Mikang, the two sisters should be women outside, especially since they are not married and are prettier than the so-called third sister-in-law. This is their aesthetic. Please make up your own mind, even if they know that they are no longer their opportunity. I am happy to be able to anger this third sister-in-law. That's why the two sisters came over excitedly, hoping to make some people uncomfortable. As a result, they didn't feel uncomfortable, but they themselves became uncomfortable first. How can the two sisters get back after losing face like this? If he really returns to his table, will he be laughed to death by his other cousins? Third cousin. Chi Lan called again and made 10 turns. Get out, Jo Mikang frowned and looked at her. Don't show such disgusting behavior in front of me, get out of here. You. Chi Lan, who thought he was very charming, didn't expect this result. He stood there with his mouth open and didn't say the second word for a long time. After his sister went into battle, Chihua, who had been sitting and watching the excitement, saw that his sister was defeated, so of course he couldn't just accept defeat. Although the two sisters fought to the death in the past, when it comes to the outside world, the relationship between the two sisters is stronger. When the younger sister is bullied, how can the older sister stand by and watch? Third cousin, don't think I'm too talkative. This third cousin is really hateful. You said that our cousins only see each other a few times a year and we are all very close, but what did she say? I am jealous of her by saying I want to marry you. Is this possible? If I really wanted to marry my third cousin, I would have pestered him every day before he got married. How could I only see him during the holidays? Besides, the relationship between my mother and my second aunt is not good, and it hasn't been a day. If I really want to marry my eldest cousin, my mother will not agree to it in the first place, and it is impossible for my second aunt to like me. Such a marriage is simply impossible. There is no happiness at all, and I'm not stupid. How could I let myself get involved like that? Third cousin, this is our own family. This is why I am telling you the truth. If an outsider were to be slandered like this, they would definitely not let it go. If the third cousin wants to live peacefully in the future, he really has to take good care of his third cousin. Otherwise, the third cousin will never deal with young women again. Otherwise, the third cousin's face will be lost. Bear. If you don't believe it, just wait and see. It's time to eat carrots and worry about nothing. Joe Mikang waved his hand at her. Get out of here, or else, don't think I'm too old to give you face during the Chinese New Year. Judging from this situation, it was impossible to make any gains. Chi Hua and Chi Lan looked at each other, snorted coldly, and turned around to leave. Tisk tisk. Chu Xia stared at Joe Mikang and smacked her lips repeatedly. At that time, I said I had no debts, but now I'm here to find him. By the way, eldest brother also said that a relative wanted to introduce you to someone, and he was unhappy when you rejected him. How much trouble did you cause me? On New Year's Day, don't talk about this. What do you mean? Chu Xia blinked at Joe Mikang. Okay, then let me ask, why are those people looking at me like the monkeys in the zoo looking at bananas? This time it was ZhenMaleLead who complained. She lay on the table and waved at Joe Mikang. Third brother, I didn't mean it. This metaphor of third sister-in-law is too vivid. After all, Chu Xia is still saying that Joe Mixang has caused a lot of troubles. Kiwakilan is because she didn't like her and looked at her unkindly because she didn't realize what she wanted, and the children of the fourth aunt's family are because she robbed Joe Mi Kang. The daughters of the fourth aunt's uncle's family lost the opportunity to marry with the Joe family to promote the growth of the family, and they didn't like her. Are they all like monkeys who want to snatch the bananas and eat them? Joe Mikang was also helpless by her, so he smiled bitterly. Chu Xia, can we say something reliable? If we sit here for another 10 minutes, we can leave. Okay, then you tell me. Chu Xia leaned her back comfortably against the chair. I said it was unreliable. Come on, let me hear what you have to say that is reliable. Joe Mikang. Well, if I had known he would have kept quiet. Now, with a lot of things in his wife's hands, isn't he asking for trouble? In front of the eldest brother and cousin, it was difficult to explain to the younger wife, so he simply kept silent. Looking at the two people who fell into silence for an instant, Josei Kang and ZhenMaleLead looked at each other, both a little worried. They wanted to persuade, but they couldn't find a suitable starting point. They scratched their cheeks anxiously, which finally made Chu Xia laugh. He stood up and said, "Are you afraid that we will be embarrassed in front of outsiders?" "No, I won't give those people a chance." Then he poked his head towards ZhenMaleLead and whispered, "Will you come home with us later?" ZhenMaleLead nodded. "Okay, why are you so mysterious?" "In order to make those people curious, believe it or not, when I talk like this, they think I am talking bad about them, and they may come to find trouble." ZhenMaleLead's head turned black. "Are you so eager to be picked on? What's wrong with this?" "Easy." Joe Mikang was amused by Chu Xia's nonsense. When Joe Zikang saw his brother smiling, he breathed a long sigh of relief and grinned too. "Hey, can I know what we are doing sitting here?" Chu Xia asked curiously. After saying hello, everyone was asked to sit down at their own tables. Then, the old couple sat there without talking. They were all silent. "Does this feel really good?" "What do you think?" Joe Mikang asked. "How did I know?" Chu Xia rolled her eyes. "Do you think a smart person should know everything? You're not a fortune teller. What kind of monster are you making? Can't you save some face for me in front of eldest brother and Meili?" Joe Mikang looked at her funny. "Why do you turn on cockfighting mode as soon as you talk to me?" After saying this, he couldn't help himself. He kept smiling, And sure enough, after being with his little wife for a long time, his speech became the little wife's mode. To be continued. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 607. Oh my God, my God, my God, my God. As the car drove away from the Lin family gate, Chu Xia let out a long sigh of relief and began to mutter a series of words. Can't you stand it? ZenMaleLead looked at her funny. To be honest, today's situation is much better than I expected. It's not that I can't bear it, it's just that I'm holding it back. In my humble opinion, to celebrate the new year, I just want to talk about the excitement, so I racked my brains to think of a lot of auspicious words, but in the end I didn't use them all. Spreading his hands, Chu Xia had a look of helplessness on his face. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have worked blindly. The same goes for you, Zhou Mikang. Why didn't you inform me in advance? I didn't see you getting ready, so I didn't say anything. Zhou Mikang, how unreliable I am in your eyes. Chu Xia shook her head helplessly. Chu Xia closed her eyes and fell silent. She was shocked, she said. Zhou Mikang glanced at her and said, you can save your auspicious words until you return to the capital. Don't worry, you won't get any hair. Asshole, Chu Xia glared at him angrily and turned her head towards the window. The leader, Tongzi, who was not very good at coaxing others, frowned in confusion. He had already noticed that his eldest brother and cousin were almost laughing, but it was not good for his wife to just let it go. Finally, he had a way. How about you tell us what you have prepared? The good news should not go to outsiders, right? Ha ha ha. Josei Kang and ZenMaleLead couldn't hold it in any longer and burst out laughing together. Chu Xia couldn't help but laugh. In fact, she wasn't very prepared. Anyway, the auspicious words were all ready. She was just angry with Zhou Mixang for not telling her the truth in advance. It made her act like a fool and didn't know anything. You're angry that I didn't tell you everything, right? It's okay. The group leader's reaction was not too slow, and he actually realized the crux of the problem. What do you think? It's not that I don't want to tell you. It's just that the situation on their side is impossible to predict. The reason why I'm like this today is because there was a conflict between my grandpa and my uncle's family. Therefore, they didn't want to say anything, and others didn't say anything either. In previous years, after the New Year greetings, Grandma and Grandpa would invite everyone to sit around and chat, and sometimes let the juniors perform a show or something. But the situation is different every year. How should I put it? Don't say it's me. Even our mother probably doesn't know how our family will spend the new year. Anyway, things change every year. What is the situation? Chu Xia looked at Zhou Mikang confusedly. Does Grandma and Grandpa really like changes? Probably. Zhou Mixang shook his head helplessly. They were not in the mood today. So they didn't talk to you much. If they were in a good mood, they might even ask you to recite poems. Grandma and Grandpa both studied abroad in Japan, that's right. They like to pursue differences, but their personalities are very contradictory, as you can see from today's posture. They pay great attention to ranking rules, and they only see this once or twice a year anyway. Don't take it seriously, just treat it as a formality. I've learned a lot again. Chu Xia looked at ZenMaleLead with emotion. It really makes sense to live and learn. ZenMaleLead. Third cousin, you are only 18 years old, okay. Chu Xia banged her head fiercely. By the way, Zhou Mikang, you lost. Didn't you say that Su Weiman would definitely stay by the car when we came out? But in the end, he didn't even see his shadow. Then he looked at Josei Kang. Brother, do you feel any regret at all? No. Josei Kang shook his head. I don't bet that I feel at ease, but I'm quite puzzled. Generally speaking, the third child sees things very accurately. Why did he miss it this time? You didn't miss it? It was Zhangqi and Ma Chao who took him away, Zhou Mikang said calmly, as if this was just a trivial matter. Take him away? Chu Xia looked at him with wide eyes. Hey, are you too brave? No matter what, he can be regarded as Mr. Yao's son-in-law. Even if the divorce is filed now, as long as he is not divorced, we are still a family, and even if we are divorced, we may get remarried. If you just deal with him like this, will Mr. Yao feel comfortable? I'm helping Mr. Yao, otherwise, who would be embarrassed if he lets him make a scene there during the Chinese New Year? Zhou Mikang snorted coldly. Besides, because this kind of person affects the mood of the Chinese New Year, it's not worth it. Let's lock it up for a few days first before talking about it. When did you arrange for Zhangqi and Ma Chao to do this? Aren't they going home for the New Year? By the way, they are still with me to protect me. Yes, they have been following you. This is not because you are important, but because I am important, so the superiors will let them follow you. This is also one of the conditions for me to agree to participate in medical preparations. You can say that I used this matter to threaten others. Yes, I was a threat. I want everyone to know that my marriage, Zhou Mikang, was carefully considered to prevent some people from always having thoughts that they shouldn't have. Should I act a little more moved? Don't be moved, I just want to save myself some troubles. Oh, Chu Xia nodded. I don't think you could have done that just for me. Well, I haven't answered another question yet. How could Zhangqi and Ma Chao follow us during the Chinese New Year? Yes, I didn't see you arranging this. Zhou Mikang glanced at her through the reflector. If I can let you see everything, do you think I can still achieve this position, go on a mission and come back safely? Is this contempt for me? Not only you, but also eldest brother and Mei didn't realize it. Oh. Chu Xia pulled Zheng Mei and looked at Zhou Zikang. Brother, sister Mei, he despises the three of us. I'm used to it. Zhou Zikang, who had been watching the theater, expressed that he was in a good mood and said with a smile, I have been a brother with him for so many years. I realize now that I don't understand my brother at all. Sure enough, Bittern order the tofu, one thing will be reduced, and the sun will finally shine in our lives from now on. He used to have continuous rain. Anyway, this spring festival is the happiest in recent years. After a pause, Zhou Zikang said, although the people are not the most complete, in general, the atmosphere is not as good as it has been in many years. Chu Xia took the credit without any shame. That's right, it's all my credit. Zheng Mei took a sneak peek at Zhou Mikang, and when she saw the corner of his mouth curved into a perfect arc, she felt a little envious. Third brother, third sister-in-law, this is probably true love between you. It is really a great blessing to meet him. Zhou Mikang nodded. Well, you have encountered it too, just learn to cherish it. Third sister-in-law, you don't know that my third cousin and I have not spoken as much in the past 20 years or so as we have in this year. After meeting you, my third cousin really seems to have become a different person. I remember when I was young, my mother and I came to Joe's house to play. In fact, I really wanted to follow my third brother, but every time he looked at me, he didn't even look at me, which scared me so much that I didn't dare to come up. Later, as I grew older, even my eldest brother and the others were cautious when talking to my third brother, let alone me. I used to be scared to death of talking about this kind of topic in front of my third brother, but now I am not afraid anymore because he is angry. And the third sister-in-law can coax him well. Zhou Mikang, you used to be so annoying, you were such a naughty kid. Chu Xia thought of the question just now. You haven't said why John Kamakeo didn't go home for the New Year. Why are you so concerned about their whereabouts? Zhou Mikang glanced back at her with a look of dissatisfaction on his face. They are always protecting me, how can I not pay attention? And what I am most curious about is, You are at home during the Chinese New Year, and I am not in any danger, so why do they still stay here? They protect you because of me. If it weren't for me, they wouldn't protect you. I know, I know. I still know myself. Okay, I was wrong. I don't pay attention to their whereabouts anymore. I'll leave that to you. Just answer my other question. They are all orphans, and what they dislike most is celebrating the New Year. After being silent for a long time, Chu Xia asked, then where are they on New Year's Eve? Also, can you invite them to your home for the New Year next year? People protecting me have no credit but hard work, right? I invited, but they refused. Zhou Mikang glanced at Chu Xia. At this time, do you want others to be stimulated? Yeah, I didn't think it through well. I probably have to wait until they get married before they can celebrate the New Year normally. They are really poor people. I must treat them better in the future. I felt the cold swishing of the leader's tube. With a sharp eye, Chu Xia quickly changed her tune. What I mean is that I should cause less trouble and don't make them work so hard. Although you are protecting me for your sake, they can't reflect the value of life here at all. I probably don't feel happy about it either. Sure enough, after hearing what she said, the group leader Tong's expression softened. Yeah. Josei Kang and Zheng Meili looked at each other and both turned their faces to the window. Several New Year greeters happened to be looking curiously into the car. Their actions scared them and made them run away quickly. Zhou Mikang frowned in disgust. If you want to laugh, just smile openly. If you don't know, you might think there are two lunatics in my car. Several people returned to Zhou's house noisily all the way. It was already 11 o'clock in the morning. When they entered the door, they found Zhou Huikang sitting in the hall chatting with a group of elders. Zhou Zhongkang had not returned yet. Mei Xiaofeng, who craned her neck to look out, looked obviously a little disappointed. Although she and the people in this family got along well, they were not very familiar with each other. This morning, it seemed particularly difficult, especially when others were talking to each other. It's even more difficult when it's hot. One update arrived. To be continued. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 608. Second update arrived. Do you want me to go for a walk with you? During this period, Mei Xiaofeng was very friendly to Chu Xia, and she was also trying to repair the relationship between the two, reciprocating her kindness. Seeing her boredom, Chu Xia took the initiative to come over to accompany her. Okay, Mei Xiaofeng responded with a smile, got up and went out with her. Put on more clothes. Chu Xia carefully picked up a coat and put it on for her. Although it's quite warm outside, your body hasn't fully recovered yet, so be careful. If calculated based on the time of miscarriage, Mei Xiaofeng is considered to be in confinement. It is okay to go out, but she must pay special attention. Chu Xia's carefulness finally made Zheng Meili have a heartfelt smile on her face. Thank you. You're welcome, we're a family. Chu Xia helped her out of the door. After sitting in the room for too long, Mei Xiaofeng unconsciously narrowed her eyes under the bright sunshine near noon. After a long while, she breathed a long sigh of relief. The weather is great. Chu Xia couldn't help laughing and said, Xiaofeng, do you have nothing to say to me? After a moment of confusion, Mei Xiaofeng understood Chu Xia's meaning and smiled. The weather is really nice for me. I feel like I'm going to get moldy after being locked up in the house these days. It's getting warmer in the future. You can go out for a walk more. Exposure to the sun is good for your health. I was in bad health before, but look at me now, I'm very lively, right? You're the only one who's so energetic. Mei Xiaofeng looked at Chu Xia amusedly. You're so much thinner than me, and yet you dare to say that you're so energetic. Aren't you too funny? Who says you can't be lively and vigorous if you lose weight? Chu Xia looked at her with disdain. According to your statement, doesn't it mean that only pigs can be considered vigorous? You're just being arrogant. Mei Xiaofeng looked at her dumbfounded. Besides, I am temporarily weak. Once I recover, I will be fine. Well, what I said was a bit off the mark. Chu Xia admitted her mistake sincerely, which made Mei Xiaofeng feel embarrassed. Actually, you are right. There is no essential relationship between fatness and health. I am too serious. Looking at your attitude now, I can't believe you were the one who provoked me before. Chu Xia held her arm affectionately. That's right, we are close in age. Or it's more comfortable to be a good friend than an enemy, what do you think? Can I still say no? Mei Xiaofeng smiled and shook her head. Actually, it's not that I'm too lazy to go out and do some activities, I just feel worried and have no mood. You also know that my family does not agree with my marriage to Zhongkang. Until now, my eldest brother has not come to see me. This shows that this matter has not been eased. But now it's the third year of junior high school. Do you think I should go home or not? Go back, I'm afraid of being ignored. It makes Zhongkang sad, so he doesn't come back, and he feels unfilial. Oh, I'm so sad. It's the first day of the Lunar New Year. You can't say you're sad. Chu Xia patted her arm comfortingly. You have to think like this. Everything has a development process. Maybe the elders of the Mei family have already agreed in their hearts, just with their mouths. Are you unwilling to speak out? Your current body can't worry too much. If you have sequelae, you will suffer for a lifetime. But many years later, when you look back and think about what you are worried about today, you may find it very ridiculous. Dear third sister-in-law, you are 5 years younger than me, and what you say is so clear-cut. Mei Xiaofeng looked at her for a while, then laughed and said, you do have the demeanor of third sister-in-law. What I said is true. Chu Xia glared at her dissatisfied. I won't chat with you anymore if you make fun of people. This has nothing to do with age. Don't you think about the life I lived before? What day is it, so it's not strange that I see some things more openly than you do. Okay, I was wrong. Mei Xiaofeng looked at her curiously. Can you tell me what the third sister-in-law once worried about, but then she thought it was not a big deal? Why did you worry about things? There is a lot of this to do. But the most worrying thing was that it was impossible for her to tell Mei Xiaofeng. She remembers that when she first came to this era, she felt that everything was terrible. She looked forward to opening her eyes every day and finding that everything she had experienced was a dream, and her parents, grandparents, and grandparents who loved her were still in front of her. Unfortunately, this kind of hope is destined to be nothing more than a hope. God knows how disappointed she is when she wakes up every morning, but life still has to go on as usual. In this constant disappointment, she gradually accepts everything, including Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe. Today, looking back, she doesn't feel that her life is any worse, and if she is asked to leave Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan now, she will definitely not be able to bear it. And Zhou Mikang, she married him and knew his temper. If she left him, he would probably be single for the rest of his life. If so, would she be happy? The answer is negative. Therefore, what she once thought she had no chance of surviving and what happened when the sky fell was no longer a big deal today. Her biological parents already had another daughter, and she became the daughter of Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan. Everyone is living happily, and they even get along more harmoniously than before. Think about it, what's wrong with this? She couldn't talk about this matter, so she talked about her marriage. When I didn't meet Zhou Mikang before, my parents were extremely worried about what kind of husband I would find in the future. If you have never been in a rural area, you may not know the criteria for choosing a spouse in rural areas, which are, first, you must be capable, second, you must be competent, and third, you must be capable. But as for me, the words competent and competent don't go together at all, and they have to be similar to thick eyebrows. I can't match the mainstream aesthetics of my eyes, So my parents always thought that I might not be able to get married. Their nervousness gradually affected me. Coupled with other people's gossip, I became more and more stressed. I worried every day. What should I do if I live an unhappy life in the future? I even made the worst plan, which was to commit suicide if I couldn't live any longer. But what would happen to my parents after committing suicide? Therefore, I saw the tangle and tangle of rooftops. Unexpectedly, I met Joe Mikang and married him. He treated me well, my parents-in-law, grandparents, and other elders and peers treated me well. So, when I think back, I feel that worrying is really ridiculous. As the saying goes, there must be a road before the car reaches the mountain, right? You were simply belittling yourself at that time. In fact, from my point of view, your appearance is very popular with men, and you are also a very thoughtful and correct person. I will definitely not end up with you in marriage worried about the outcome. The matter between you and me is different. Originally, my family wanted me to marry Jiao Jingjun, but I just didn't have feelings for him. Then, I secretly obtained the certificate with Zhou Zhonkong behind the family's back. This made the elders they feel that I have embarrassed them, so they will not forgive me. Now the whole family is looking forward to my happiness, probably my eldest brother, including my parents. They are probably eager to see Zhou Zhonkong and I live in trouble, to prove their wisdom. I haven't met your parents, so I won't comment, but I think parents want their children to live a happy life, and don't expect their children to have a bad life. Also, what you just said illustrates another problem, that is, everyone thinks that their own affairs are the big deal, and other people's affairs are not that serious. This illustrates from the side that the problem of authorities being obsessed with others is not that other people's affairs are really not important, but that you can see it more clearly from the perspective of a bystander. So, if you listen to me and relax, even if I don't forgive you this year, I will definitely forgive you next year. If I don't forgive you next year, there will be the year after that. I don't believe it. If you live well, your elders will be able to live forever. I have never accepted you. How many years have it been? Mei Xiaofeng looked at Chu Xia with a troubled face. If you tell me this, why do I feel like I will never see the light of day again? Well, I won't persuade people. Anyway, what I mean is, live every day happily. One day, everything will become happy. Listen to me, that's right. Saying this, Chu Xia felt like her teeth were about to get sore. Why hadn't she discovered before that her ability to deceive was so powerful? Ha ha ha. After chatting with her for a long time, most of the gloom in Mei Xiaofeng's heart had gone away, so she nodded in agreement. Okay, I listen to you, don't worry anymore, take good care of your body and live a good life. Seeing my happiness, my parents will one day accept me. In fact, they should be angry because I secretly did everything on my own without asking for their opinions. But this can't be entirely my fault. If it's true, after listening to their opinions, Zhou Zhonkong and I probably wouldn't be where we are today. Fifth brother is really lucky to meet you. He did something that hurt you so much, and you can still protect him in every way. If it were me, I couldn't do it. Because I love him, Mei Xiaofeng sighed, so feelings are really a strange thing. Between the two of us, I have always been the one taking the initiative. People say that women chase men, but I really don't think so. Although he quickly agreed to be with me, his heart was never completely tied to me. It wasn't until my miscarriage this time that he truly regarded me as one of his family members. So, can I tell you, I am very happy about this. Chu Xia really didn't know what to say. She loved him so much. If she said something bad, she would be ignorant. But if she was asked to say something nice, she really couldn't say it. Anyway, she couldn't accept this kind of man. However, to be honest, Zhou Zhonkong is definitely not a bit better than before. To be continued. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 609. The third update has arrived. Do you think I'm stupid for loving you? Seeing that Chu Xia didn't answer her words, Mei Xiaofeng laughed and said, actually, I also think I'm stupid for loving you, but I'm willing to fight. That's my kind. So, this is fifth brother's blessing. Chu Xia sighed with a smile. However, God is very kind. Look at how much fifth brother loves you now, right? Yes, so I am quite satisfied, Mei Xiaofeng said and couldn't help but laugh. I am also quite contradictory. On the one hand, I am happy for my love, but on the other hand, I am sad for my family. Alas, it's hard to. Is this what it means to be in a dilemma? But that's not right. You see, you are in need of family, love, and friendship. In other words, I didn't do enough good deeds in my previous life, so God only gave me one kind of emotion? I'm starting to think too much again. Didn't I just say that, or maybe your family has forgiven you? Even if they once wanted you to marry Qiao Jingjun, if they see how happy you are now, what reason do they have to object? Also, hasn't your eldest brother always been very kind to you? With him dealing with things for you, you will definitely be readmitted by your family soon. So, relax and keep yourself fat and white so that they can see you won't be sad until then. Do you think it's pig farming, and you raise fat and white pigs? After hesitation, Mei Xiaofeng lowered her voice. Sister-in-law, there is something I want to tell you, but don't think too much about it, and don't blame me, okay? Tell me what's going on. Chu Xia looked her up and down. Even if you have done something wrong to me, I won't argue with you, don't worry. I think too much. Even if I want to do something sorry for you, I don't have a chance. It's my eldest brother. I found out before that my eldest brother likes you. You don't know about this, right? Brother Mei likes me. Chu Xia pointed at her nose with a look of disbelief on her face. Are you telling the truth or not? Are you deliberately teasing me? Am I such a boring person? Mei Xiaofeng looked speechless. If I hadn't been talking to you for speculation, I wouldn't have told you. It's not an honorable thing. I really didn't expect it, but I'm very grateful to Brother Mei. He also helped me a lot. After a pause, Chu Xia arrived, but I'm quite surprised that he likes me. What's surprising? He and Zhou Mikang have the same vision. When Yamiru was with Yamiru, he was always twitchy. Moreover, he was even twitchier than Zhou Mikang. Before, Zhou Mikang could only accept it passively with Yamiru. After that, he didn't find a girlfriend for many years. It wasn't that he couldn't forget Yamiru. In fact, it was because he knew what he wanted, and he never met the right one. That's all. Brother Mei was the first to like Yamiru. It was only after he was hurt again and again by her that his heart grew cold. So, from that point of view, their vision should be different. As for your attitude towards me, are you sure you haven't misunderstood? What can I possibly misunderstand? Mei Xiaofeng snorted. Why do you think I didn't like you in the first place? I've already said it anyway, so I might as well tell you the truth. It was the day you and Zhou Mikang got married. My stupid brother locked himself in the room and got very drunk. He refused to open the door no matter who shouted. Later, I was worried about him. I climbed in through the window in the middle of the night and found him with his eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling in a daze. I asked him what was wrong at that time, but he just stared at me blankly and said nothing. Later, he lay on the floor with his head tilted and fell asleep. In fact, I saw that he was pretending to sleep, and I also knew that he didn't want to say anything. She didn't ask him any more questions, just covered him with a blanket and left. Then, a few days later it was my birthday, and my brother drank a lot of wine, because Zhou Zhonkang went out of town with his teacher, so my brother chatted with me in the evening. Under the influence of alcohol, he told me his thoughts. He said that when he first saw you, he thought that you should be his wife, but alas, Jo Mikang had discovered you before him. If it weren't for Yamiru's incident, he would probably compete with Jo Mikang directly. However, the first reason is because he met you too late, and the second reason is that he can no longer poach Jo Mikang, so he can only use this. The feelings are buried deep in the heart. He said that he thought it was just a simple admiration, but it was only on the day you got married that he realized that your image had been engraved in his mind, and he couldn't forget it even if he wanted to. Thinking that he would never have a chance again and that you were married to Jo Mikang, he couldn't control his emotions. He said that he had always envied Jo Mikang. Although Yamiru had betrayed Jo Mikang, she had always loved him. Jo Mikang's, and he has unrequited love every time. He also asked me if his appearance and personality were so special that girls didn't like him. Otherwise, why would the result be the same every time? Before that time, Jo Zhonkong and I had already returned to the Jo family once. I had a good impression of you, but when my eldest brother said that, I became very angry with you. I thought you were a wanton woman who had obviously already had sex. I lost my husband, but then I seduced my eldest brother. To put it bluntly, I equated your character with Yamiru's. Then, I scolded my elder brother for falling in love with a shameless vixen again. As a result, my elder brother hit me. It was the first time he hit me since I was a child. At that time, my hatred for you really reached the extreme. So, after that, when I saw you, I immediately thought about you with a gun and a stick. I want to push you down. If I hadn't lived in the Jo family this time, got to know you up close, and got to know your character, I would probably have always hated you. Sister-in-law, I tell you this because I want to be honest, and I really mean it. Hope we can become real good friends. After Mei Xiaofeng said this, Chu Xia finally understood the fundamental reason why Mei Xiaofeng's attitude was so different between the first time he met her and the second time he met her. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. I mean, the second time when we first met, you seemed like a different person. It turned out that this happened, and I was really wronged. Third sister-in-law, I told you this, don't tell anyone, especially third brother, otherwise, he and my eldest brother will really not be able to get along. I know, I won't tell him. Do you think I'm stupid, thinking of how jealous the regiment leader Tongzi was towards her and concerned about Ma Chaozhongqi on the way back? It would be really hard for her to tell him about this. Smoked. However, she was really surprised that Mei Yitong fell in love with her at first sight. When they first met, she certainly felt Mei Yitong's interest in her, but in her opinion, it was just to show off to others and make others misunderstand the relationship between Mei and Jo's family. Later, Mei Yitong did help her a lot, but in her opinion, it was just because everyone was a grasshopper on the same rope. Now it seems that she is really innocent and cute. Speaking of which, the aesthetics of Mei Yitong and Jo Mikang are somewhat similar. Although she and Yamiru are completely different types, it seems that men like Jo Mikang like these two different types of women. Captain Tongzi and Mei Yitong are really good brothers who love each other and kill each other. Haha, their smiles are stuck. They are side by side with Yamiru. What is there to be happy about? Mei Xiaofeng looked at someone with a puzzled look on his face who suddenly stiffened his expression while giggling. Third sister-in-law, what do you mean? I hate being compared to Yamiru. Chu Xia grimaced. You said others won't misunderstand my character, right? Or maybe I should consider not talking to gay men in the future. How can I compare you to each other? Mei Xiaofeng looked at her speechlessly. My brother said, in fact, he later found out that he didn't really like Yamiru, but at that age, he happened to like to be cheerful. Just a generous girl. In fact, he didn't know Yamiru well, so basically, he liked a girl with a cheerful personality like you. However, he was deceived by Yamiru's fake cheerfulness. Let's turn the page. Chu Xia made a gesture of turning the page. I'm married, and I keep saying this is inappropriate. If the head of the group hears it, he will be stern with me. To be continued. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 610. One update arrived. Third sister-in-law, third brother is so kind to you. Mei Xiaofeng looked at Chu Xia with envy. Whenever Zhou Zhonkong can be so kind to me, I will be willing to die. Ba. Chu Xia spat several times and stared at her dissatisfied. We are celebrating the new year, don't say anything unlucky. Didn't you just say that Zhou Zhonkong is so good to you now? You are already satisfied. Why? In the blink of an eye, you envy others. Everyone's personality is different. You only saw Zhou Mikang when he was nice to me, but not when he yelled at me. Cherishing what you have is the right way. Third sister-in-law, I don't see that you are quite superstitious. Mei Xiaofeng looked at Chu Xia with a smile, and she felt a lot closer to him because she could see that he really cared about her and treated her as one of her family members. People. Chu Xia said, it's the Chinese New Year. Saying some auspicious words can finally make you feel more at ease. What she was thinking was that even things like changing bodies in different time and space can happen inexplicably. She is not superstitious. Don't be afraid of 10,000, just be afraid of the eventuality. Okay, let's not talk about the unlucky things. After sighing, Mei Xiaofeng smiled bitterly. I originally thought that my eldest brother and my eldest sister-in-law could get back together, but it turned out that my eldest sister-in-law was about to get married. It seems that my eldest brother's lonely journey will continue. Go down. By the way, didn't you leave the Mei family after you married Zhou Zhonkong? How come you can still be with your eldest brother on your birthday? During that time, didn't Zhou Zhonkong go on an inspection tour with the teacher? My eldest brother didn't trust me alone, so he went to my place to stay with me at night. He didn't leave until Zhou Zhonkong came back. Your elder brother is so kind to you. Chu Xia looked at her with envy. I am the only one of my parents. I envy others to have older brothers and sisters. Originally, she was also an only daughter. Now she is still an only daughter, even with the love of Jingjia and Lin Wenbin. But that is different after all. Yes, my eldest brother is really nice to me, better than my parents are to me. When I was young, my eldest brother looked after me. He would take me wherever I went to play. When I got older, when I did something wrong, my eldest brother would mostly take the blame for me. Everyone opposed my marriage this time, except my eldest brother, who said that as long as I felt happy, he would support me, and in fact, he did the same. Third sister-in-law, to put it this way, I am finally a little happier than you. Mei Xiaofeng smiled happily. I don't regret it now. Chu Xia looked at her helplessly and shook her head. I finally understand. Your desire to compare is not that strong. Get along with you from now on. I have to be careful. Third sister-in-law, don't be angry. Mei Xiaofeng quickly held her hand and begged for mercy. I was just joking. I don't take it seriously, I promise. I won't compare with third sister-in-law in the future, seriously. Really? Chu Xia hesitated. Can I trust you? Of course. Of course, Mei Xiaofeng nodded repeatedly. Okay, I'll forgive you once. If you compare with me again, I won't be friends with you. Chu Xia pulled her to sit on a wooden chair in the garden, take a rest and bask in the sun. Zhou Jiping was bored and went out for a walk. She saw the two heads together from a distance, and the corners of her lips curled up unconsciously. Of course, the two sisters-in-law got along well. Of course, she wanted to see her family and everything. Happy. Chu Xia, Xiaofeng, what are you talking about? The two turned around and saw that it was Zhou Jiping. Chu Xia quickly got up and helped her. We were just chatting. Second sister, why don't you sleep more? You stayed up so late last night, you should get more rest now. It's okay, my body can handle it. Zhou Jiping looked at Mei Xiaofeng with concern. Xiaofeng, how about you, do you feel okay? Second sister, I'm fine, Mei Xiaofeng said quickly. When facing Chu Xia, she could be very calm because they were both daughters-in-law of the Zhou family and their positions were the same, but when facing Zhou Jiping, she felt a little embarrassed. If she hadn't impulsively cut her veins and wrists, the fetus would not have been saved. She knew how much the Zhou family looked forward to the birth of their great-grandchild, so when facing the Zhou family, she unconsciously felt guilty. So far, no one has blamed her, and they all care about her so much, which makes her feel uncomfortable. She felt even more guilty. Thinking that Mei Xiaofeng was sad for the loss of her child, Zhou Jiping comforted her, you are younger than me and easy to get pregnant. In more than a year, you can be a mother again. Mei Xiaofeng smiled sheepishly, second sister, I know, I just think I'm too reckless, and my family is so kind to me, so I feel like something is wrong with me. It's all over. Zhou Jiping sighed and said, I can't blame you for this. It's just that Zongkang's character is too stubborn. Don't worry, it will get better in the future. I know. When I was chatting with my third sister-in-law just now, I said that this miscarriage was worth it. At least Zhou Zhonkang knows how to cherish it and live a good life. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say just now, but I didn't feel embarrassed. Besides, the second uncle and the second aunt are very grateful to you. They thought before that it would be difficult for their son to get close to them in this life. Unexpectedly, Liaoda it was untied all at once. My parents-in-law are so kind to me, and I am very grateful to them. Moreover, it is not easy for them. It is not their responsibility to not be around the children before. As a result, both children are not close to them, which is very unfair to them. That's fair, Mei Xiaofeng sighed as she said, before the accident, I went shopping with Zhou Zhonkang and met Nanping once. The brother and sister just said hello briefly and separated. If you don't know, you still have to go shopping. I thought he was just a colleague from the factory, and he was still unfamiliar with me. It would be nice to say hello. If she meets us, she will probably walk over as if she doesn't know us. Zhou Jiping couldn't help but smile bitterly, maybe in her heart, everyone in the Zhou family owes her. Especially after the Xiao family's accident, her mother-in-law's family was affected, and she regarded the Zhou family as an enemy. I doubt she will be able to come back even on the third day of the Lunar New Year this year. The second uncle and the second aunt did not say anything, but in fact they were thinking about her very much. It was a coincidence that no one in the family could speak to her. I hope that one day she would become a mother herself and could understand the second uncle and the second aunt. The mood. Every family has its own scriptures that are difficult to recite, so no one has to worry about it. However, compared to my parents' family, our family is pretty good. Now, except for Zhou Nanping and Zhou Yiping, everyone else is living in harmony. The main reason why my parents were so angry about me marrying Zhou Zhonkang was that it made them lose face with my second uncle and third uncle. My father is the eldest, and my grandfather has slightly higher expectations for him. The second uncle and the third uncle were a little dissatisfied when they were young. Later, they got married, and the relationship between the brothers became even worse. If the brothers don't get along well, how can the juniors get along well? Every family wants to have the upper hand, whether it's their children's jobs or their marriage. Uncle Chiao and my dad have a good relationship. The two families have a lot of contacts. Chiao Jingjun is also the leader of the younger generation of the Chiao family. My parents like him very much. They made an agreement with Uncle Chiao and Aunt Chiao without even asking me. Let us be together. If we really get together, my father and my mother will be able to gain enough respect from the second uncle, second aunt, third uncle, and third aunt, and there will no longer be any objection to my father's position as the head of the family. Therefore, I got married like this, which was equivalent to indirectly cheating my dad and my mom. According to my eldest brother, my second uncle and my third uncle were trying their best to increase their bargaining chips. Third sister-in-law, now you understand why I have been worried all this time. If my father really cannot become the head of the May family, my mother will not forgive me. She is too strong. Hearing her talk in such detail, Chu Xia became even more confused. For your mother, your father's position as a parent is more important than the child's happiness. Yes. Zhou Jiping and Mei Xiaofeng said in unison. Chu Xia, you married into our family because your uncle and aunt love you very much, and your grandparents, parents, and parents are also very kind to you. Do you really think that all parents are sincerely doing the best for their children? No, many big families exchange the marriage of their children for the development and growth of the family. As for whether the children are happy or not, it doesn't matter at all. Passing on from generation to generation and growing stronger from time to time is what they want. Therefore, I have known since I was a child that I am very lucky to be born in the Zhou family. Several of my classmates have become victims of family interests. Their marriages are simply a formality, and there is no emotion at all between the husband and wife. Back then, I was willing to be with your brother-in-law because I wanted to be an ordinary person and not so utilitarian. Now it seems that I was really too one-sided. Shaking her head, Zhou Jiping stopped talking. Chu Xia quickly advised, second sister, my brother-in-law is actually really nice to you. He can come to our house during the Chinese New Year, which means that you are very important in his heart. I know Zhou Jiping sighed. That's why I didn't sleep on New Year's Eve and stayed with him all the time. I just didn't want him to feel uncomfortable spending the New Year at Zhou's house. No wonder, when I asked her to go to bed that night, she didn't go at all. She also said that she slept too much during the day and couldn't fall asleep. Women are really born actors. When in front of others, Zhou Jiping never had a good face towards Mingtao, but in her heart, but they are always thinking about each other. Second sister, don't be angry if I tell you what I think. Chu Xia looked at her seriously. Second sister loves her second brother-in-law so much in her heart and promised to let him come to her house to celebrate the new year, so there is no need to deliberately humiliate him. Sometimes, men are careless and it is not easy to find out what a woman is thinking. Zhou Jiping said stiffly, if he is not satisfied, he can leave. I didn't say that he must stay with me. At this time, Xiaojing hurried over and said to Zhou Jiping, second miss, Yu Mingxia is here. Second uncle asked me to come over and invite you over. To be continued. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 611. Second update arrived. As soon as Chu Xia and Zhou Jiping Mei Xiaofeng entered the door, Yu Mingxia came over to greet them and rushed towards Zhou Jiping, sister-in-law, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Zhou Jiping responded politely and introduced her two younger siblings, this is the third sister-in-law Lin Chuxia, and this is the fifth sister-in-law Mei Xiaofeng. Yu Mingxia smiled and looked at Chu Xia and Mei Xiaofeng, Happy New Year to my third sister-in-law, and a Happy New Year to my fifth sister-in-law. Because of her nervousness, her facial muscles were obviously spasmodic. Chu Xia had gone to Yu Mingxia's house before, and the other party's attitude towards her was very unfriendly. With her current attitude, she obviously didn't want to mention the past. If the other party didn't mention it during the Chinese New Year, she would naturally not argue with him. Happy New Year, she responded politely, and Mei Xiaofeng responded after her. Yu Mingtao came over with a glass of milk, his expression obviously uneasy. Jiping, you didn't sleep well last night. It's rare that the wind is good. Drink some hot milk to warm your stomach. Zhou Jiping nodded and took the cup. Yu Mingtao secretly breathed a sigh of relief. This meant that Zhou Jiping was not angry with him. Chu Xia and Mei Xiaofeng looked at each other and then looked at Zhou Jiping. Second sister, let's go over to my grandparents' place. Zhou Jiping interrupted Chu Xia, you guys come over and sit together. Yes, yes, come over and sit together. It will be more lively when there are more people, Yu Mingtao also said quickly. All the guests paying New Year greetings have left. The elders gathered on the right side of the hall to chat. The Zhou Mixang brothers also gathered there. The left side was empty. Zhou Jiping took the lead and walked to the free area on the left. When Zhou Jiping invited Chu Xia and Mei Xiaofeng to sit together, Yu Mingxia's face was obviously not very good looking, but she was here to invite someone. It was at Zhou's house again, so I could only shut my mouth tightly and try to suppress my anger. Sister-in-law. My parents were very unhappy last night. In previous years, the eldest brother would take the lead in making all the rules during the Chinese New Year. This year, the eldest brother is not here, and Yu Mingguang from the second uncle's family has taken his place. The second uncle and the second aunt used to be very respectful to their parents, but this year they scolded them at the banquet because they were too doting on their eldest brother and sister-in-law and had broken the rules. Grandparents also praised the second uncle and second aunt, and praised the daughter-in-law Mingguang found for being sensible. What does she know? If God sends good things to her parents' house, isn't it just because she is pregnant? Why would her grandparents look after her? My parents were angry at being scolded. He said that if he hadn't helped his second uncle to collect canopy grass, how could his sister-in-law have hurt her body? But the second aunt said that her sister-in-law biked to and from get off work every day and she didn't hurt her body at all. My eldest sister-in-law is still too squeamish, and her eldest brother has spoiled her for her. Later, they became more and more angry. My grandparents threw the chopsticks and went back to the house, before my parents could react. The second uncle and second aunt took Yu Mingguang and his wife to their grandparents' house and closed the door. Not long after, bursts of laughter came from the grandparents' house. My parents who were clearing the table outside were so angry that they took me home. Although my grandparents were more partial to our side before, they were focused on my eldest brother's future. If the eldest brother and sister-in-law don't come home, all the things in the house will probably fall to the second brother and sister-in-law. The family property was obviously earned by my father. Why did he end up with his second uncle in the end? Brother and sister-in-law, please go home, okay? Otherwise, our family will really be doomed. Yu Mingxia must have said these words to Yu Mingtao. Zhou Jiping looked at Yu Mingtao with a calm expression. You want to go home, right? After hesitating, Yu Mingtao nodded, then shook his head. I listen to you. Yu Mingtao, you disappoint me so much. Why don't you dare to say what's in your heart? If you don't want to go back, it's impossible to get me back. Let Yu Mingxia say it again. But the question is, what problem can I solve if I go back now? It is impossible for me to get pregnant within a year, so the possibility of your grandparents turning their minds back becomes very small. The doctor has clearly said that the pregnancy rate of my body is very low, so it is unknown whether I will be able to get pregnant again after 1 year. The fundamental problem that your grandparents prefer your second uncle's side is the issue of future generations, and I don't have the ability to help you reverse the situation for the time being, so it doesn't matter whether I go back or not. I won't go back if you don't go back. Yu Mingtao looked at his sister. Mingxia, I just told you that your sister-in-law's decision is my decision. Now that you have seen it, go back and tell your parents. When will they stop struggling with this issue, and when will your sister-in-law and I consider going home again? Brother and sister-in-law, if you don't go back, the house where my grandparents live will belong to my second uncle's family. It is our family's ancestral property. Why should it all be given to my second uncle's family? I told you to go and live there. Do you want to go? Of course I won't live there. No, Yu Mingxia looked at Yu Mingtao dissatisfied. Brother, what do you mean by saying this? I'm not anxious for you. Sooner or later, I will get married. Aren't the things I want to fight for now all for you? I don't need it. Yu Mingtao put his hand on Zhou Jiping's shoulders. It was because I always wanted to take care of everything that I made your sister-in-law suffer so much. I will never do it again in the future. There is no money to be earned, no hope for health, and all that is left is suffering. Listen to my advice, be more down to earth in your work, be more realistic in finding a partner, and don't think of crazy things, otherwise one day, I will regret it. Brother, Yu Mingxia increased her voice unconsciously, I am doing it for your own good, and you still teach me a lesson. Yu Mingtao sighed, I'm not lecturing you, I'm really making plans for you. Your personality is too impetuous. If you don't change, it's really not a good thing. Forget it, I've said everything I need to say. If you don't want to come back, just don't want to come back. I'll tell my parents that I can hire a son-in-law and take care of them, Yu Mingxia said angrily. He stood up and said, if I come to you again, I'm not a human being. Is this making you angry? Chu Xia and Mei Xiaofeng looked at Yu Mingxia, who suddenly fell out of favor, and then looked at Zhou Jiping, who looked calm. They suddenly felt that Zhou Jiping's endurance skills were really good. In the Zhou family, Yu Mingxia can have this kind of attitude, so what was it like when she was at home before? Chu Xia hated Yu Mingxia very much, and now she waved her paw at her. It's so good to leave, so I won't see you off. Seeing this, Mei Xiaofeng also stretched out her paw and waved, I won't see you again. Chu Xia burst into laughter immediately, hugging Mei Xiaofeng and swaying, I like you. Mei Xiaofeng replied to her, I like you too. Zhou Jiping. Yu Mingtao. The corners of Zhou Jiping's lips curled up, you too, are you talking about crosstalk? Yu Mingxia was so angry that her face was livid, her lips were trembling, and she didn't move for a long time. After all, she was his sister. Yu Mingtao couldn't bear it, so he stood up and pulled her out, whispering something to persuade her. Second sister. Chu Xia looked at Zhou Jiping fawningly, her big eyes flashing, I just don't like her attitude. Second sister, don't be angry with me. Second sister. Mei Xiaofeng quickly walked around to the other side and flashed her big eyes. Zhou Jiping looked at the two living treasures helplessly, okay, how can I be angry with you? With your help, it's too late for me to be happy. Stop pretending, you two. Do you dare to say that you don't know the reason why I kept you here? Chu Xia grinned, I know, but I'm afraid I don't understand the intention. Yes, I am also afraid that I will get the wrong idea and do bad things with good intentions. Hey, Zhou Jiping patted her head in worry, you two are like wearing a pair of pants in a blink of an eye. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Of course it's a good thing. Sisters-in-law and sisters are united and their strength is as strong as gold. It's just the two of you, and you're still broke. Zhou Jiping looked at Chu Xia amusedly, third brother and sister, are you overestimating your own strength? It's a metaphor, how can it be taken seriously? Chu Xia looked serious and asked, second sister, what exactly are you planning? In front of us, tell the truth, so that we will know better in the future. What plans can I have? Zhou Jiping sighed with a wry smile, it's not like you don't know about my body. In fact, I really wanted to break up with Yu Mingtao. However, after so many years of relationship, he has always been good to me. Although he sometimes neglects me, he will definitely make up for his mistakes later. I can't guarantee that I will be happier alone than with him. Moreover, at my age, it is impossible for my elders to allow me to live alone for the rest of my life. So if I find another one, it is unknown whether he will be more suitable than him. Whenever I think about this, I feel guilty. You looked at me half dead those days. In fact, the more I think about it, the less courage I have to live. I have been in love for so many years. If it is over, do you think I can still survive? Do you believe in feelings? Fortunately, he finally chose me, so I wanted to try being with him again. I gave myself 3 years. If I couldn't get pregnant within 3 years, I would divorce him. If it takes 3 years, it should be fine. Chusia breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it was 3 years. Regardless of whether he could get what he wanted by then, a lot of things should be changed in 3 years. Yu Mingxia has a bad attitude and doesn't respect me enough, but I don't blame her. Speaking of it, I do owe it to the Yu family. Not only did I fail to add a boy and a half to the Yu family, I also ruined their pride. When I was kidnapped by the Zhou family, how could they look down upon me? So, if you meet her in the future, just pretend you don't know her. There is no need to vent your anger on me. Everyone wants to have better things, and she is no exception, right? Don't worry, as long as she doesn't provoke me, I will definitely not provoke her. Mei Xiaofeng echoed, me too. If it weren't for the second sister, how would I know who she is? Zhou Jiping hugged the two of them, thank you. Her voice was choked. To be continued. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 612. The third update has arrived. Yu Mingtao saw Yu Mingxia outside the door. Yu Mingxia finally calmed down. She looked at her brother with a dissatisfied look on her face. Brother, do you really plan to live in the Zhou family like this? Yes, I said, I want to stay with your sister-in-law. I am sorry for her. I must make up for the mistakes I made. Moreover, I really love her, no matter whether we will have each other in this life. Baby, your sister-in-law can only be her. Brother. Yu Mingxia sighed, you will destroy your parents like this. You don't know how proud they are of you. Why does Dad like to ask you to help your uncle's family so much? Don't you want to save face in front of your second uncle? As a result, you have completely destroyed his face. What do you think you want him to rely on to support him? In just a few days, Dad looks 4 or 5 years older. I'm really not exaggerating. If you don't believe it, you can go back and see for yourself. If they really have an accident, are you sure you won't feel guilty? Mingxia, please be more open-minded and understand them. You should know how difficult it is for the elder brother. If I return to the Yu family at this time, then the relationship between me and your sister-in-law will really be over. When one day you really fall in love with someone, you will understand my feelings. Marriage is not for everyone. Being with someone who does not love each other is simply suffering. If my parents really love my son, they will know how to do it. I understand, you want your parents to invite you and your sister-in-law to go home, right? Yu Mingxia frowned and looked at her brother. Brother, are you going too far? Why can't I explain it to you? Yu Mingtao also frowned. You've had this problem since you were a child. You can't listen to what others say, and you just think and act according to your own understanding. I didn't tell my parents to invite us. In the 3rd grade of junior high school, we will definitely go back. At that time, our parents can come up with an attitude. Then, the decision-making power is in their hands as to how long we can go home. Brother, you are really promising. Besides daring to yell at me, what else can you do? Yu Mingxia snorted coldly and left without looking back. It wasn't until his sister's back disappeared that Yu Mingtao sighed and walked back. If you choose, you will have nothing to regret. There is one person who is destined to be sorry, let's be the parents. He loves them. However, they only love him, not his wife. And his wife has been working hard to be a good wife for the Yu family. So, in no way could he be sorry for his wife. Of course he has to repay his parents' kindness, but it doesn't have to be complete obedience to call it repayment. If he hadn't been obedient, how could he have reached this point? even if the parents do something extreme. He has nothing to regret, though. He'll take it, though. Based on his understanding of his parents, they are not willing to do anything too extreme. To put it bluntly, they are not willing to die. How can someone who is not willing to die be willing to actually hurt himself? But his wife is different from his parents. She values love. If she loses this relationship, it may really ruin her life. Therefore, this time, he must stand firmly by his wife's side. Now, he even regretted bringing his wife here. Why couldn't he handle the matter quietly by himself? His wife's mood had just improved. If she was affected by this, he quickened his pace and walked into the hall. Standing at the door, looking at the three women hugging each other, his eyes were a little moist. Why couldn't his sister get along with his wife with such a mentality? Joe Mikang and Joe Zikang came over. Is it done? Joe Zikang asked. Yes, I asked my sister to go back. Yu Mingtao looked at Joe Zikang respectfully. Brother, I won't make Jiping sad again, don't worry. You have already made her sad. Joe Mikang looked at him with a dissatisfied look on his face. Big man, can you just be more polite? Yu Mingtao didn't know what to say. Forget it, the third child, his personality is different from yours. It's not easy to do this. Joe Zikang patted Yu Mingtao on the shoulder. Go and coax Jiping, what she needs most now is yours care. Yes, thank you, brother. Yu Mingtao thanked Joe Zikang and then looked at Joe Mikang. Third brother, please watch my actions from now on, okay. Glancing at him lightly, Joe Mikang took the lead and walked over to where the three women were sitting. When he got close, he stopped and said with a serious face, Second sister, do you want me to help you vent your anger? Hurry up and sit down. Joe Jiping let go of Chu Xia and Mei Xiaofeng, and pulled Joe Mikang. I'm not unhappy, I'm happy that my two younger siblings care about me so much. Mei Xiaofeng was still a little uncomfortable in front of Joe Mikang, and stood up with a smile. You guys chat, I'll go to the kitchen to see when dinner will be served. I'm with you. Wanting the three siblings to have a good chat, Chu Xia also stood up, but was dragged back by Joe Mikang. Sit down and be honest, don't run around. Chu Xia. She is not a child. What are these words? Seeing that his little wife was about to explode, Joe Mikang hurriedly responded, Second sister is in a bad mood, why don't you stay with her more? He turned to Mei Xiaofeng, who was standing there with an embarrassed look on his face. Brother and sister, you two sit down, the kitchen is still busy, so don't make any trouble. Yes, it's not like I haven't seen Joe Mikang's temper before. He was suddenly so friendly. Mei Xiaofeng was very uncomfortable with it. She responded and sat back stiffly. Chu Xia patted her back. Funny, why are you so afraid of him? He's not a tiger. Haha. Mei Xiaofeng laughed twice, and told the truth. Brother Joe has never spoken to me in such a nice voice since I met him. I feel so flattered. Chu Xia patted Joe Mikang seriously. Did you hear that? Your previous temper was really bad and you need to change it. No need to change it, it's already very good now, Joe Jiping said with a smile. We are very happy to be like this now. If we change it again, it won't be him. Joe Zikang nodded in agreement. Yes, don't change it, lest I think my brother has been replaced by a different person. I'm not embarrassed. Are you feeling uncomfortable? Joe Mikang said and laughed himself. Did I really have such a bad temper before? What do you think? Joe Jiping stared at him speechlessly. Although I am your second sister, whenever I see you come back, I will be extremely nervous, for fear that you will knock the table off again. You turned over the table. Yeah, just once. Oh, everyone has been young before. Now don't go too far into talking about the second sister's affairs. Chu Xia quickly changed the subject because she didn't want to be unhappy when bringing up old things during the Chinese New Year. Jiping, can we go back together in the third grade of junior high school? Yu Mingtao asked. Good. Zhou Jiping responded happily. Neither Zhou Zikang nor Zhou Mikang interrupted. Yu Mingtao breathed a sigh of relief secretly and explained, Jiping, I just want to give them a chance. After all, they are biological parents. If they want to have fun, it is better to be a happy family than this, right? If their minds still don't change, we can just meet each other as a courtesy during the New Year and holidays, and we won't have any contact with each other during the day, okay? Zhou Jiping looked at her husband seriously, are you happy? As long as you are happy, I am happy. Don't say that. After a pause, Zhou Jiping continued, everything I did in the past was my own choice. I don't blame you. Don't burden yourself with the burden of being a student. I don't have to go, but you have to go home. They only have a son like you. If they really fall out, they won't be happy, and outsiders will laugh at it. If you can think about me, of course I will also think about you. On the 15th day of the first lunar month, you can go back to accompany them. You don't have to worry about me. There are many people accompanying me, and our two siblings and I are so speculative. It's not like you didn't see it, right? Besides, after the 3rd grade of junior high school, Xiangping can come back at any time. You don't know how good the relationship between us two sisters is. Don't worry, what I say is true. I will go back with you on the 3rd day of the Lunar New Year. I will not go back except during the New Year. But you can go back at any time. Just decide like this. Otherwise, I will divorce you. Okay, I promise you. Knowing his wife's temper, any objection at this time would only lead to a stalemate between the two parties. Yu Mingtao obeyed her wishes, but he decided in his heart that he would stay with his wife unless absolutely necessary. Eldest brother, third sister, and fifth brother, you are all witnesses. He has already agreed to what I said today. You can't blame him when he does this in the future. You are all the people who love me the most, but for him, his parents are also the people who love him the most. They treat me badly because they have too high expectations for him, and to be honest, I really don't. I fulfill my responsibilities as a daughter-in-law, so I can't blame them for not liking me. This silly woman is not thinking about her husband all the time, and she talks so grandly. Chu Xia looked at the silly eldest sister she loves with some distress, but she didn't know what to say, or, I'm like arsenic for someone else. Honey, as a bystander, it's better to just watch. Emotional matters do not tolerate the interference of outsiders. After lunch, Mrs. Zhou winked at Chu Xia and went back to the room. Knowing that the old lady was probably asking her for news, Chu Xia quickly followed her in. Grandma, you want to ask about the second sister, right? Straight to the point. Yes, we asked too many questions because we were afraid that Xiaji would be under pressure. However, how could we really ignore it and not ask? Tell Grandma, what is the attitude of the Yu family? Chu Xia told the old lady exactly what happened. There was nothing to hide about this matter, and only by explaining it clearly could the elders understand. This silly kid. After sighing, the old lady shook her head again. However, this also shows that the two of them are inseparable. It is finally good news. I will inform your mother-in-law later and tell her not to be blind. Worry. To be continued. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 613. One update arrived. After leaving Mrs. Zhou's place, Chu Xia went to her mother-in-law's place. Zhou Jiping happened to be there too. When she turned around and saw Chu Xia, she smiled and said, "Did Grandma drag you there to ask about me?" Yes, Grandma was worried about the second sister and was afraid that asking her in person would put pressure on the second sister, So she recruited me. Chu Xia moved a chair and sat next to the mother-in-law. Grandma asked me to come here. Let me and mom also report. Aren't you afraid that I will be angry? Zhou Jiping deliberately made a serious face. I told grandma everything without asking, and I also came to report to mom. Do you respect me, the second sister? Second sister has already thought about it, why should I be angry? But Chu Xia scratched her head in embarrassment. It's wrong for me to say it without second sister's consent, but I believe that second sister will definitely not. You will be angry, everyone is doing it for the second sister's good, how can the second sister be angry? Zhou Jiping looked at Lin Yangkai helplessly. Mom, look at her mouth, it's all her fault. Don't be dissatisfied, Chu Xia is always thinking about you. Lin Yangkai said, hugging Chu Xia. Xia, don't listen to your second sister's nonsense, she is teasing you. I know that if the second sister was angry, she wouldn't have this attitude. However, I really wasn't looking for a reason for myself. When grandma asked me, I hesitated, and then I felt that the second sister could do it in front of me and Xiao Feng. How could he go behind the back of his family elders to resolve this matter in front of him? It's just that grandma has to go to the second sister to ask about this kind of thing in person. The second brother-in-law may be worried, I think. The second brother-in-law was almost frightened now. Yu Mingtao lived in the Zhou family with trepidation, fearing that he would be disliked if he did not do well. Chu Xia's description was very appropriate. Lin Yangkai looked at her daughter with a smile. Second brother. What your siblings said is right. You, don't always have a straight face at Yu Mingtao. We don't give him a good look because we want to make him feel better. He understands that he has done something wrong and must work hard to make up for it before we can accept him again. But if he leaves his family and career to come to Zhou's house with you, if you don't give him a good look, it will make the guilt in his heart gradually fade away. This man loves face. Others don't need to give him face. As his wife, you must save face for him. Otherwise, it will be really broken. It's you who suffer. Zhou Jiping said angrily, Mom, why are you starting to turn towards him? Mom, this is not for him. It's for you, silly boy. You think mom can't see that your whole heart is tied to Mingtao? If we really separate, most of your life will be ruined. Since we don't plan to separate, we have to do it without separation. Since you were a child, you have a tough temper. Not as coaxing as your sister, woman. It's better to be gentle and take advantage. Mom, are you gentle? Go, go, go. Lin Yangkai pushed her daughter angrily. Did anyone say that about his own mother? Ha ha ha. Zhou Jiping laughed. In the future, I will learn from my mother and tie Yu Mingtao's heart tightly to my body so that he can't fly away even if he wants to. Second sister, second brother-in-law's heart is already tied to you. If it is tied to you any longer, it will easily lead to lack of blood. You. Zhou Jiping poked her finger at Chu Xia helplessly. Xiaomi is really lucky to find a living treasure like you, and it is also a blessing for our family. Don't say that again. Chu Xia begged, you say that to me every time. It's too much pressure. I'm afraid I can't bear it. I'm really scared. What we are telling is the truth. You have never seen anything happening during the Chinese New Year in our family before, so when I see you, I can't help but sigh. After a pause, Zhou Jiping looked at Lin Yangkai. Mom, I'm very lucky. My grandparents don't have that many rules, and my parents and uncles and aunts don't have that many rules either. Otherwise, I really don't know what I would do. What's more important, rules or people? Lin Yangkai glanced at her daughter. If you talk like that again, you will be alienated from your family. If we are really estranged, I won't celebrate the New Year at home. Zhou Jiping looked at the slightly confused Chu Xia. Don't you know the custom here that a married daughter cannot celebrate the New Year at her parents' house? I know. Chu Xia nodded. it seems that if a married daughter stays with her parents' family before celebrating the new year, her parents' family will become poorer and poorer, right? Yes, Lin Yangqiu nodded, that's what I said, but the family was deserted in the past few years. Your sister-in-law and her family came back to spend the new year with the old man and his wife, but they didn't expect the family to be poor from now on. From this point of view, these rules are unreasonable. Although I say so, many people believe it. Yoon Duo has not been able to go home for the new year since she got married, Zhou Jiping said and looked at Chu Xia. Yoon Duo is Mei Yitong's ex-wife. They got married not long ago. After the divorce, Yoon Duo has been celebrating the new year alone. Her grandparents were determined not to allow her to go home before sending her off. Later, her grandparents passed away, and her father didn't say anything about letting her go home to celebrate the new year. To this day, she stays in the hospital on duty when the new year comes. The Yoon family's grandparents and Uncle Yoon are still like this. Not to mention those who don't have access to it. Then what does our family mean? Lin Yangqiu looked at her daughter amusedly, a family that is open to the public. Zhou Jiping hurriedly said, no, he is the type of person who spoils his children. As expected, those who are close to vermilion are red and those who are close to ink are black. You couldn't say such words before. Lin Yangqiu smiled and patted her daughter-in-law, who still looked confused. Don't you think your second sister is talking to you more and more, close? Ah, Chu Xia shook her head, came to her senses, and said quickly, Mom, I took this as a compliment. Are you sleepy? Lin Yangqiu looked at her daughter-in-law who was obviously out of sorts in a funny way. Okay, don't stay with us here. Go back to your room and rest for a while. The Luo family will come over in the afternoon, so you are still busy. Thank you, Mom. Sister, you should take a rest quickly. Your body has not recovered yet. Mom, you should also take a rest. The more you sleep, the better your skin will be. Chu Xia came out of the house muttering, and Lin Yangqiu and Zhou Jiping looked funny. She's really good, Zhou Jiping said. Yes, I wasn't very satisfied before, but now, the more I look at it, the more I feel satisfied. No matter what aspect, she is a top-notch person. Lin Yangqiu looked at her daughter and said sincerely, when you see the advantages in others, you must study. Mom repeats, if you are too stubborn, you will hurt yourself. Mom, I know, Zhou Jiping sighed. Actually, every time I have a conflict with Yu Mingtao, I reflect on it, but next time, it's easy to lose control of my emotions. You've done a good job, but it's easy to get into trouble. If Yu Mingtao is willing to come to our house to celebrate the new year this time, that means he values you 100%. You can't ignore him like us. So I stayed with him last night. If I really ignored him, why didn't I sleep and force myself to stay with him? He can understand your thoughts, but it will not warm his heart as much as your softer attitude. Lin Yangqiu hugged her daughter, although everyone says that it is better to do more practical things than to open a good mouth, but in real life, you only doing it but not saying it, and saying it but doing it, give people absolutely different feelings. Mom, I know that if it weren't for your own daughter, you wouldn't say that. What you dislike most all the time is people who only have words but no real life. Yes, Mom used to think so, but since she got married in early summer, Mom has discovered that being able to do and speak is the most important thing. Why is this child so lovable? Do you think you are happy with her? Zhou Jiping nodded. Is this over? Lin Yangqiu spread her hands. Of course, when people are alive, they hope to live happily. How tiring it is to guess other people's thoughts all day long. Mom, it's hard to change your personality. The best I can say is to pay attention to myself, but it's probably impossible for me to change into the personality of my younger siblings. She just acted out of her heart. If I had done it intentionally, I would probably. If you can draw a tiger, you can't draw it like a dog. As long as you know what's going on, go and take a rest. Call Ming Tao and join us. After coming out of Lin Yangkai's room, Zhou Jiping's emotions had completely calmed down. When she saw her husband sitting in the living room, flipping through a book, she felt a little distressed. She had a family who loved her, but her husband was left here alone. How empty should you feel? Now that she has decided to be together, and hopes to be together for a lifetime, she can no longer wait passively. There is no need to rush about physical matters, but she can still work hard on other things. Are you tired? The gentle inquiry made Yu Mingtao stiffen slightly, and then he raised his head and looked at his wife in disbelief. In the past few days, his wife had never spoken to him so nicely and angrily, even if she was by his side. Sometimes, it is also awkward at times. Go back to your room and rest for a while. Zhou Jiping reached out and pulled him up. You are stupid too. Everyone has gone to rest. Why are you still sitting here? I'm waiting for you. Yu Mingtao followed his wife back to the room, hugged her and buried his head in her nest. Jiping, I thought you would never treat me like you did before. Fool, I just don't want my family to think that I'm too mean. Now that I think about it, it seems that I'm overdoing it. However, everyone sees your efforts and says good things for you. Really? Yu Mingtao looked at her in disbelief. Did our mother also say good things for me? Yes, grandma, mother, brothers and sisters have all said good things for you. Let me treat you well and don't let you feel lonely in the Zhou family. Zhou Jiping patted him on the back. Let's work hard together and it will get better and better. Yes, Yu Mingtao sniffed and swallowed the cry that was choked in his throat. With you by my side, I have absolute confidence that we will get better and better. To be continued. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 614. Second update arrived. In the afternoon, Aunt Luo Gangshan, Luo Zioxian, and Luo Hunky's family came to the Zhou family to pay New Year's greetings. Zhang Erniu had to be on duty and could not come. Zhao Qiliang went to accompany Luan Dejiang but could not come either. Knowing that this big family came to Zhou's house mainly to meet Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan, after saying hello and chatting for a while, Mrs. Zhou took the initiative to arrange for them to be alone in the side hall. Yulan, Baohe, you are so lucky. My husband and wife are so sensible. After closing the door and only familiar people were left, the fat ant couldn't help but sigh. Zhao Yulan laughed and said, what do you mean? Do you think your in-laws are ignorant? Look at you, are you deliberately trying to find fault? The fat ant looked at her speechlessly. You know that I didn't mean it, but you still accuse me unjustly. Hey, this person has lived in the city for a long time, and he doesn't care about relationships. We are so old-fashioned. You also said that I wronged you, but you are just backing me down. Zhao Yulan was so angry that she poked her. You are insinuating that I have forgotten my roots, right? You too, you talk about each other when you don't see each other, and you pinch each other when you meet, and you are not afraid of the children's jokes, Luo Gang said as he pointed at the Chu Xia people who were laughing and watching the fun. Do you still want to fight in front of them in the future? Are you embarrassed? Having watched us since childhood, it's not like you don't know what our tempers are and what we are pretending to be. The fat ant glared at her husband. Do you think you will really become an official just because you are just pretending? Look at her mouth, she is so unforgiving. Why am I thinking about Master Chen Guan again? Luo Gangshan looked at Lin Baohe with a speechless expression. You said she was so happy to be with Yulan, why hasn't her temper changed at all? Lin Baohe smiled and said, I am with you all day long. My temperament has not changed much. Baohe still talks nicely. Fat Ant raised her eyebrows proudly. Do you think if you say I'm not good, others will really think I'm bad? Tell you. Put away your wishful thinking. If you do something sorry for me one day, everyone will definitely turn to me. Look, he started talking nonsense again. Luo Gangshan shook his head helplessly. When the children were not at home, she was talking nonsense to me. Magnolia, please persuade her. If this continues, I will be stunned. You have the nerve to say it? In order not to chat with me, you don't go home after work every day. You just wander around in the fields and get lost, right? The fat ant looked at her husband with disdain. Sooner or later, you will know if I have done anything good for you after you fall into the vat of slutty water and can't get out. What's going on? Chusia asked Luo Xiaoxian in a low voice. The two of us were fine last night. Why do we smell like gunfire when we talk today? What happened after we left? I have nothing to do to find anything to do. Luo Xiaoxian curled her lips. After you left, Ernie also went back soon. Our family was sitting and chatting, and as a result, we talked about Aunt Jean's sixth. The two of them started to choke, before coming to your house. The two of them didn't speak. Do you think they are getting better and better as they live? It's Chinese New Year. What kind of help does Aunt Jean Lu ask Uncle Gang Shun for? Aunt Jean Lu is a widow in the village. Her husband collapsed and died when he went into the pit to break stones. The eldest of the 4 children is only 10 years old this year. Life is very difficult. But she looks pretty good. A woman guards against her like a wolf. There is nothing she can do. When she encounters trouble, she goes to Luo Gangshun for help. Who makes him the village secretary? In the 12th lunar month, there was a heavy snowfall. The roof of her house collapsed. My father took the initiative to take people to repair it for her. Seeing that her house was almost unable to open the pot, he found a bag of cornmeal and a half from home. A bag of white flour was delivered to me. Because my father took the initiative to help, there were rumors in the village that my father thought it was Aunt Jean Lu. My mother didn't take it seriously at first, but people kept mentioning it, which made her feel angry. I just came over a few days ago and saw my brother and the couple were so happy that they forgot about it. Yesterday we got together to chat. My brother said that he had saved some food stamps and asked my parents to take them with them when they go back. My mother was furious and said that taking it back was just to make up for the outsiders. Then she told her about my father taking the initiative to help Aunt Jean Lu. What my father meant was that you don't look at the monk's face to look at the Buddha's face. Uncle Jean Lu used to have a good relationship with my father. Seeing that his 4 children had no food to eat, how could he, the village secretary, not care? Now my mother became even more angry and asked my father whether he missed Uncle Jean's 6th or Aunt Jean's 6th. Anyway, if you are angry, you can just think about it. No matter how hard my brother tried to persuade him, he wanted to stop. It's not that the two of them didn't quarrel loudly to save face, but I don't know what the quarrel was like. Jealous, hee. You're still laughing. Luo Xiaoxian glared at Chuxia angrily and pinched her again. I've almost annoyed them to death and you're still laughing. It's so unkind. They've hurt you in vain. Look, are you stupid? Chuxia leaned towards Luo Xiaoxian and lowered her voice. Fat Ant is so angry, which means she cares about Uncle Gangshun. Uncle Gangshun's patient explanation means that he is also special. I don't care what my fat aunt thinks, my parents have a deep relationship, so you should be happy. What kind of logic is this? Luo Xiaoxian looked at Chuxia speechlessly. Do you think they know what love is at that age? Stop joking. Don't tell me whether you understand or not, but the emotions shown naturally are true, right? Chuxia nodded her chin towards her parents. Look at Fat Auntie's smile, isn't she very shy? Luo Xiaoxian looked at her mother. Sure enough, her mother, who originally had an angry face and suppressed her voice to criticize her father, now looked red and smiled so unlike herself, she shuddered unconsciously. Is this still my mother? In the past, when you brothers and sisters were at home, all their energy was focused on you. Now it is basically certain that you brothers will not be able to return to your hometown. For a period of time, if they are to live together, their focus will naturally be on the other. Tilt. When we are at this age, we think that by their age, we should understand everything and see everything away. In fact, emotionally, this is not the case at all. Even when we are 70 years old, there will still be times when we cannot see clearly. But sometimes conflicts are not a bad thing. It can make both parties understand each other's thoughts better. Try to avoid them in the future. As time goes by, won't the relationship between the two get better and better? How do you know? Luo Xiaoxian stared at Chu Xia with a confused look on her face. You are younger than me. Don't preach like this. I'm scared. Although I'm younger than you, I'm already married. Sometimes I chat with my mother-in-law and my old mother-in-law. My godmother and godfather were also making trouble some time ago. From them, I summed up my own opinions. Son. When they can't think about it, we see them acting very childishly, but they never think that way. They all still feel that they are very reasonable and they are facing a huge thing. If you continue like this, won't I become worse and worse than you? Luo Xiaoxian sighed. Why do I feel like I can't catch up with you even if I take off my shoes? Then you just follow me and let me lead the way. Chu Xia changed the topic and said, Dean Su has given you more than 10 days of leave. Do you want to go home with Fat Ant? I'm still hesitating. Zhao Qiliang won't be able to go back then. If I go back by myself. Luo Xiaoxian wrinkled her nose. I'm a little embarrassed to go to your grandma's house. Because my brother is spending the new year with you here, you are embarrassed to face my grandpa, uncle, and aunt. Then you think too little of them. They are only happy if you are close to your eldest brother. Go back. If you are willing to take the initiative to see them, they will definitely be happy. Especially, now that you are doing well, many people say that you might not look down on my eldest brother, so don't try to climb the tree. How would they feel if you flattered them now? Luo Xiaoxian looked at Chu Xia with a worried look. Did you see from their letters that they don't believe me? No, my sister-in-law said it when she wrote to us. People in our town are spreading rumors that you have become a high official now, and you must look down on my eldest brother. Luo Xiaoxian gritted her teeth bitterly. I estimate that Zhong Hongying is most likely to spread this nonsense. If she is not doing well herself, she hopes that others will not be doing well either. After you left last night, she ran past us again. There was a commotion there for a while, but then my mother told her to die if she wanted to without stopping her, so she gave up and left. No, what does she mean? Chu Xia was speechless. It's not that I don't like your brother, but that I want to make Company Commander Lu change his mind. Why did he change his mind again in the blink of an eye? Who knows? She is a little nervous now, and she feels like whoever gets caught is the one who counts. As long as she is willing to marry her and the conditions are good, she doesn't care at all. You said that when you were in the village, although you didn't like her mother, and of course you had a bad impression of her, she was not like this. She was a very capable and hard-working girl. Why has she changed like this now? In the past, it was because she still had hope and had many ideas about her future. What about now? Chu Xia frowned. So, people's misfortunes are all caused by themselves. If she can just keep her peace, then take good care of your soldiers. Will it be like grandma doesn't love your uncle now? I went to the room where she lived in the morning. She was not in the room, and her things were taken away. She probably went home by herself. Luo Xiaoxian said and sighed again. Why do you have to put yours away? Only when you step on the ground with your face can you be willing to give up and stop struggling. She just left. Why do you care so much about her? You really have to worry about her. Chu Xia glared at her and pulled her to stand up. Let the elders talk. Let's go see Dejiang. He must be quite good here, not adaptable. To be continued.